Welcome to Totally Abstracted. I'm Michelle and I'm so glad you're here today. I've previously explored the idea that you, as an artist, can't really be separated from your work. Your memories, your feelings, your way of thinking about the world, they all show up on the canvas, often in ways you don't even realise. That emotional fingerprint is in every layer. But what about the work that doesn't quite work? You know the ones, the paintings that never resolve, that go muddy, that feel clumsy or disconnected. The ones you've scraped back so many times the paper starts to tear, or that you just quietly shove behind the cupboard. Today I want to talk about those so-called failures, because I come to realise they aren't failures at all. They're unexpected gifts. It's easy to feel discouraged when a painting doesn't come together. Maybe you had a vision, a sense of atmosphere, a palette you were excited to explore, and somewhere along the way it just went off. The magic fizzled, or worse, maybe it never showed up at all. So you step back and sigh and think, what was I even trying to do? It can feel like a total waste of time and a waste of materials. But nothing we create is ever wasted. Even the most frustrating pieces, maybe especially those, carry something important. We don't often talk about this, but failed paintings are where the real growth happens. They show you where your instincts might need a little tuning. They reveal what happens when you push something too far or not far enough. They expose habits that keep us safe and the edges we're still afraid to cross. So every painting that doesn't work is like a mirror held up to our process, not to judge, but to reveal. I've had pieces that felt like disasters in the moment, only to look back later and realise they were turning points. Sometimes I was trying something new, maybe a new tool or a new gesture or a colour palette, and it didn't quite land. But the courage to try, that stayed with me, and the next painting carried that forward. So I like to think of failed paintings as compost. Strange metaphor, I know, but bear with me. When something dies in nature, it breaks down. And in breaking down, it becomes rich soil, full of potential, ready to nourish the next season. Your failed work is like that. It might not be pretty, you might never show it to anyone, but it feeds your intuition. It strengthens your hand. It breaks down rigid ideas and opens up space for something new to grow. Sometimes I'll flip back through a work, paintings I once hated, and suddenly spot something I love, or at least think has potential. Something buried deep in the layers becomes a seed for the next piece. One of the hardest things in any creative practice is sitting with the discomfort of not knowing. When a painting isn't working, our instinct is to fix it, to make it good. But sometimes the gift is letting it be not good for a while. That discomfort teaches us resilience. It teaches us to stay curious, to ask other questions, and maybe to try something different next time. And it also teaches you to separate your self-worth from your outcomes. And for me, this is the most important thing of all. Because let's be honest, not every painting is going to be a masterpiece. And that's okay. In fact, it's not only okay, it's absolutely necessary. And our self-worth doesn't need to be tied up with all of that and shouldn't be. Now, sometimes failed paintings don't stay failed. They just need time. There will be pieces you abandon for months, maybe even years, and then one day you'll see them differently. Maybe you've grown. Maybe you now have the right tool or technique or colour to bring it to life. Something that ends up being one of your favourite pieces might start out as an utter mess. You might start trying something bold. It looks like sludge, so you put it away. But a few weeks later, with fresh eyes, you add some new marks and suddenly it sings. So don't be too quick to throw things away. Let some pieces rest. Let them become part of the compost heap, or tuck them somewhere to revisit later with new eyes. Every artist I know, whether they're just starting out or have been painting for decades, has a stash of work they don't love. In fact, I'd say the more experienced an artist becomes, the more comfortable they are with letting work fail, because they've learned this simple truth. The only way to paint boldly is to paint without needing every piece to succeed. You create more freely when you stop trying to control the outcome. And ironically, that's where the magic happens. So let's gather together what I've explored today. The first point is failed paintings aren't failures, they're stepping stones. Second point is those paintings teach you what's working, what isn't, and where your edges are. The third point is these paintings form the compost of your creativity. They are rich soil for new growth. The fourth point was time and distance can turn a failure into something beautiful. And the last but not least point, the goal isn't to avoid failure, it's to keep showing up in spite of it. So this week I invite you to honour your failed work. Dig out 2 or 3 pieces you've abandoned or disliked. Choose one to respond to, not fix, just respond. Maybe you add a new layer. Maybe you crop it down. Maybe you simply sit with it and write down what you see now. Notice what these pieces taught you. Were you experimenting with something new? Did you stop yourself too soon? Remember, this isn't about turning it into a success story. It's about recognising that the mess is part of the magic. In a world obsessed with polished outcomes, choosing to value your messy middle is a radical act. So the next time a painting doesn't work, when it dries too flat or feels unresolved or just plain ugly, take a breath, look again and ask, what is it teaching you? And thank it, because chances are it's helping you grow in ways that a perfect painting never could. Thank you for joining me today on Totally Abstracted. If this episode resonated with you, or if you've got a painting that's been haunting you, come share it. I'd love to hear the story. Until next time, stay curious, trust the layers, and keep things totally abstracted.